Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Money Stop presented by PGR eSports, brought to you by Ron's Race Paints. We are your hosts. I am Michael Triscaro. We are down a man tonight. Baker is just getting off a flight, or maybe took a flight. But Ron Morris, he is joining me tonight. RMR owner, TNT Tuesday night. Ron Morris, how you doing tonight, bud?
Hey man, doing good, doing good. Glad to be here
Heck,
tonight.
awesome. We are also joined by our producer, Dawson Wise. He's here with us tonight, getting ready to head to Talladega. I know Dawson's eager to get there in about 10 hours or so. He'll be making his way to Talladega, Alabama for the NASCAR races there this weekend. So exciting times for him. Hopefully we can get some cameos from him this weekend and to share to the PGR eSports and get a different view. Hopefully he can check out that Talladega Boulevard for us. That'd be pretty cool. So be
Oh
awesome
yeah.
to see that. But for everyone tuning in, don't forget, head over to PGR Esports YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. Check our website out, pgresports.com. There you can see all our social media channels. Make sure you follow them all. We really appreciate it. So joined with Ron tonight. Ron, we're going to start right with you tonight. We're going to do the Ron Morris Money Racing Rundown tonight and get a insight into the past week of money racing and the week ahead here as we head into Thursday night PGR tomorrow night.
Yeah, let's do that. I don't have every race, but kind of started out Monday night. We had a big championship for the little dogs. Unfortunately, I didn't win, but I'm glad to see Mike Davenport win. That's a good win for him. He's now considered a big dog. So
Right.
Mike D got the big win on Monday night. Let's see, Thursday night. That was a fun race. I guess that was before, but Thursday night we ran the Gen 4 Cup cars, ARCA cars. Man, that was a fun race. Those cars were turned out to be a great car. A little different. You can't push hard with them like you can with the trucks and the Xfinity cars. It lifts the back end of the car up. I think once everybody realized that, everybody kind of settled down, and man, what a race! It was a great race. I mean, I led a couple laps, got kind of spun out of the lead, but still had a great time. And Ward came up with a big win. I know he hit the
Oh
wall
yeah.
or he got in a wreck, had some damage, but apparently it wasn't that bad because he came right from the back up there to the front and took that win. So it was a big win for Ward. He's got quite a few wins on PGR Thursday night. So there's that. And then Merck got the monkey off his back. I think Merck finished second Thursday night, didn't he?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Runner
And
up
then he
to John. Yeah. Thursday
Right,
night.
then he got the monkey off his back last night. Got a big win
Yes,
in
he did.
TNT last night, so he locked himself in the championship. He's a front runner now. So Merck had a big win last night, and man, what a race, man! What a race last night. I mean, I enjoy doing these race controls when we have good racing and not a lot of wrecks, and a lot of good close racing and hard racing. And that was hard racing from the start to the finish. There wasn't many times when people were just sitting back riding. So it was really good racing. So I missed anything? I know Kenny had a couple races, but I was out of town this weekend, so really not up to much on the weekend. I think Ward got another win, so he's on a hot streak.
Yeah, Ward's definitely on
Really
a hot
good.
streak right now. You know, when
Right.
you get hot in these money races, I know Ron,
Oh, you
you've
got to
got a
ride those
couple wins the
waves.
last couple weeks, man.
Yeah, I got a little win tonight in Kenny's first race tonight in the Xfinity car. So yeah, you got to ride the wave with these things, man. When you get them,
For
because
sure.
you got waves, you got to ride them, and then you get in you get in these slumps where you just don't seem like you can finish anywhere near the money. So
Right.
got to ride them where you can. But yeah, a lot of good racing going on right now. I know this week's official week at Talladega, so a lot of guys are running officials versus money racing, which is fine. It's good to get out there and race with some of these guys that we don't race with all the time. I think it makes you better.
Oh,
But
for
definitely
sure.
racing against each other makes us ourselves better too. So
Yeah, it
that's
really does. You know, we're gonna head to, Thursday night tomorrow, kind of unique for PGR esports at least, heading into the next gen
mhm.
Cup Series car tomorrow night. Something we haven't really ran since I believe right around the Daytona 500 week this year.
Right.
Everyone was running those in the Podium 500, and then again for ERA. So it's not something we've ran much. I'm gonna actually be in race control tomorrow night, so I won't be on track, but I'll be interested to see, how many entries we do get for the next gen car. I'm having a feeling it won't be, as high as maybe some of the others, but I think it's going to be a pretty quality field, being that it is the Premier Series car. I know Dawson, you're a big fan of the next gen. You'd like to see it ran more, being that it is the Premier Series car. So, I think, hopefully tomorrow can shed some light on, maybe using that car a little bit more, in some of these money races and, try to get a little bit away from the trucks, which, Ron, you've done a great job of, and, PGR with Baker, kind of setting the schedules for us here. We started off with Xfinity in week one of the Q2, then we went to the ARCA, now we're going Cup, and then we're going to go trucks for a couple weeks, and then we'll go back to the Xfinity car, Gen 6 car, and so forth. So it's nice to see a variety. I know that's what we're doing here at PGR eSports, but always good to break out in something new and try it out, and you never know, because like you said, Ron, last Thursday night, you know we saw a difference in the racing, especially in the first half of that race, and I think a lot of guys enjoyed the ARCA car, or the Gen 4
Yeah.
car. So
Yeah.
if we can, like you said, just perfect our crafts more in that, we can put on some good shows with it.
Yeah, I think mixing it up's good. You get some guys that, I think it equalizes the field a little bit whenever it's not something that somebody races all the time.
Right.
And the skill level goes up a little bit with each car. I still believe. Xfinity's a little harder to drive than the trucks are, and the Cup cars are a little bit harder to drive than the Xfinity cars. You got to get used to your runs, and you got to know how to take your runs, and manage things like that. So it's just a whole different type of racing, but it's good to have a variety. I get tired of trucks all the time, so that's why I run Xfinity. But yeah, proved to be good racing.
It's a
But yeah, we got
Yeah.
what we go to Daytona Tuesday night for a Tuesday night Thunder, so a little bit different there again, than Talladega. It's a little bit tighter.
Right.
Just a little bit different.
it's a
Yeah,
different
and I think that's good. I
challenge.
mean, I'd like to see, more Daytona actually as well. I know we kind of focused on that earlier in the year, but I'm actually a big fan of Daytona. I think I two of my only two money racing wins as far as money races go, and all the prominent promoter series has been at Daytona. So
Yep.
I'm looking forward to Daytona on Tuesday night. I know that. What about you, Dawson?
I was gonna start saying when you guys are talking about variety, it counts the tracks too. Actually, it's a different challenge. That's how I've always seen it, even from my perspective, because the truck has its own challenge. The slam drafting model we're all used to now, and you can't drive the Xfinity car like that. Those are harder to drive, harder on the tire, and you have to wheel it a little bit more, if you will, than you do the truck. But then the next gen car is a lot more about how hard can you push? How much can you tandem? The side draft is massive in those cars, and making sure you
Mhm.
got the right amount of cars, the right guys in your line that are going to move your line forward. It's all unique challenges, and that's what's so
Yeah,
fun. But tracks are the same thing. I mean, Daytona's a whole different animal. Atlanta's a whole different animal. I know we've seen that on Tuesday a couple times, and it's a whole different beast. Daytona and Talladega, they look the same. They don't race the same at all. You can't race them the same by any means. You can't approach them the same. So I'm looking forward to it. Tuesday's going to be a lot of fun. Just getting away from our bread and butter and kind of throwing guys off the deep end and giving them a little bit different challenge.
that's right. And when the Cup cars, get with a good group up there ripping the fence, and you can go, but you got to have everybody up there knows what they're doing. So with the next gen, so I'm looking forward to that too. Yeah, looking forward to next gen, and then Friday night is the new PGR Friday night. So
Yeah, I almost
I
forgot.
mean, right. So where we go? What we gonna do? Trucks or no Xfinity?
Yeah,
Is that right?
yeah.
Yep.
So kind of our goal with the Friday nights now, obviously, a little all hell broke loose kind of last Friday night, which is definitely a topic of discussion tonight. But in all seriousness, Jimmy Crow's a great guy. Really appreciate working with Jimmy and the races he puts on. He's very well respected in the community. It's just like I talked to him about. It's one of those things like Ron. There's it takes a lot of work, patience, and just to even race one night a week. So you know, a lot goes into putting on these races that a lot of people would not really understand unless they start putting them on. And you know, it's almost like a 7-day-a-week thing, you know, like promoting your race. So you know, I wish Jimmy the best. It's one of those things where it's not really a feud between him and I. You know, we had a really good thing going there for 6 or 7 weeks with doing race control, doing broadcasting for him. But you know, it's you got to keep you know, level head throughout these things. There's a lot of polarizing and egos out there in this on this platform, as you know, and sometimes you just got to chill. I learned that you know, in the very beginning. I remember just, you know, stuff would happen in my race, and after the race, I would be so distraught that no one was going to come back and race another PGR race. And once I learned that that's not true, just to let it go and breathe and be okay with the shit shows, and you're going to have good races. It's all a balance. Once you find that within you, then you don't really get all upset about it. So Jimmy's a very emotional, passionate guy, which is a good thing. It's just, you know, it's tough for him to do, unfortunately, you know, with how he is. And you know, I hope he can at least watch the races each week and enjoy them. You know, it's a lot easier to enjoy them when you're not promoting them. So I hope the best for Jimmy. So we had to kind of make a move there on Friday nights for PGR. Just saw an opportunity to expand our brand onto a Friday night, which is more of a prime time, you know, race, I would think, than even a Thursday night. So our plan for those is, you know, start them at 10 o'clock. We're going to go green around 10:10, but they're going to be longer races. I think that's something a lot of the drivers have called for. I know you do it, Ron, and it works to perfection each week. Longer races, a little bit less fuel percent. You know, no fast repairs. So it's kind of like RMR on Tuesday nights, but going to be on Friday nights. So we're looking forward to it. Hopefully we have a really good turnout. I'll be up in the tower doing race control Thursday and Friday. So yeah, I'm hoping it sticks and something we can keep, you know, as a prominent, you know, place on the money racing circuit.
Yeah, cool.
I'll tell you, Mike, if you don't
Yeah.
mind, longer races for, you know, because before I ever came into this whole thing, I've been league racing for a long time, and I know a lot of guys that do, and we all came from league racing, and this is something that I feel like a lot of us kind of, like you said, we kind of started to rally for it because of the strategy, and I think that's something, and I say this every time I broadcast a race, but pit strategy races are my favorite to call. They're my favorite to race because there's so much more thought that goes into it, and I love that this is finally going to get tried on Friday. I cannot wait. I hate that I have to miss it,
All
unfortunately,
right.
being in Talladega and all, but I will, you know, keep up with it. I want to know how it goes because if that's something that succeeds, I would love to see 70, 80 lap races in money racing because it gives you so much more room for strategy, and that's the kind of thing that makes this racing so fun, so compelling for people to watch, for people to race, and for me to call.
No, absolutely, man. I mean, it's, you know, we did one last night, Dawson. We ran the B Open with Trevin,
Yeah.
and it's just, you know, when you're not such in a hurry in a 30-lap race, you know, you can methodically work your way up. Fortunately for us, we all kind of started in the front last night. But what was kind of cool, man, I actually brought it up here. If you can pull up our screen here, we were talking a little bit about this race with Ron, but it was the top split B Open last night. For the most part, it was domination by you, myself, and Trevin. I know a lot of the guys in there we were racing with weren't too happy, but it's not even really that we were blocking any lanes, man. They just, you know, couldn't keep up with us. And, you know, this is going to start here, us on the backstretch on the second to last lap here. I was able to push Dawson here. Trev had the bottom lane. Everything was looking good until everyone decided to split us here up top. So I'm pushing Dawson here into turn 4. Trev's leading the bottom. And we got a train of cars trying to get around us here. So 3 wide, so now we're 3 wide. Pretty much coming here to the start-finish line and trying to hold off the field. But pretty cool here on the last lap. We'll get you guys a couple of good angles of this race. This is out of my cockpit. You'll see Dawson kind of come back into the picture. Everyone was starting to wreck behind us, so I had to kind of slow up a little bit. to kind of let Dawson in to try to push him up even with Trev here. He had somebody pushing him here on the back stretch. I was kind of a sitting duck. But awesome finish here. Ended up pushing Dawson here, coming out of the turn 4. And this was a finish right here. Three wide, Trev, myself, and Dawson. So we'll try to pull up a different angle of this for everybody to see.
I'll tell you this while you're going to a different angle. That perspective was it ties in perfect to what we were saying earlier about the difference between the cars. Because if this is a truck race, this push that you give me off turn 4 on the coming to the white flag.
Yeah, you're gonna see it again
turn
here.
You left, but that's kind of what I was meaning. Is you kind of have to wheel these cars more. And you can see, I mean, you can see it right here for sure in this angle, but
on the wheel and stuff.
You can see how much you have to saw, how much you have to think in these cars. I think is big, and just how finesse it is. It's an art. These cars are an art, in my opinion. Whereas maybe a couple other cars are not as much of an art. And that's not a dig at any certain car. It's just you have to race it a different way. And these cars, man, they're the most. How should I put this? They're the most an art form to drive, in my opinion, where you have to be so finesse with it. You can tell right here. I mean, just that little bump. I mean, it cost me the race, but that's what makes these cars so fun.
Oh, yeah. It's funny because we were talking about, how, I wasn't even really trying to win the race in the position I was in. I'm searching for a 0x and just trying to take a top 5. And, it just kind of, the win kind of presented itself there on the last lap. Crazy wild finish last night in that race. I'm just glad we didn't get turned. Some good banner afterwards I know Dawson had with one of the guys in there. So it's funny, Ron, you get in these officials and it's a whole different ball game compared to what we do in the money scene.
No doubt. Cool deal, man. Good win. Nice win. That's top split too, right?
Yeah, top split. Not a super high strength of field, but always good to get the job done for sure. So yeah, it's like you stated earlier, it's a big week for a lot of the money racers, not just doing the money races, but also taking part in a lot of officials. So good to see everybody out there. You come across.
There's a lot of good super speedway racers out there that don't money race. There's
absolutely.
There's a lot of them. And they don't money race. So I think we're the best, but there's some good ones out there. So
yeah, it's unique actually hopping in some of them. There's a lot of guys that just don't have the grasp for what we do, since this is what we're doing week in, week out. And then it's always nice to come across, some new blood that, we don't see in the money races that are really good, have a lot of talent. So what I try to do at least is I'll reach out to them after the race and send them a link, or, send them a Discord link, try to see if we can get them to run. It's always good to bring new people in. And, I was getting some great pushing today. I forget the name, actually, the person. It was Tina Sprinkle. Or Tina something. I think it's a guy. I'm not sure.
I've raced. I know you talk about.
Yeah, they were pushing me great, but it's just one of those things. As soon as they went up to make a move to middle, somebody just kind of, the pusher pushes the pusher and right into them, and then kind of got down into me earlier today, and I go, that ends my race. So it's crazy how many times you're leading on the bottom and doing no harm, and you somehow just get punted from that position. It's like it happens too often, and you're just dominating a race, and then just like that, it's over. So
that happens a lot in money racing too, Mike. That's not just official racing.
Oh yeah, that's true. It's definitely true.
And then the last thing really on the horizon is on Saturday night. MMS, Ken starts up his little dog, big dog thing. So, great concept there too, to try to just break up some of the team guys. Put some guys working with people. It's going to be 3-man teams this season. So get some guys working with people they don't normally work with. And I think that helps build some camaraderie and just a little bit more bonding between some guys that you typically don't race with. Because you never know, you might get paired when you're with the guy that you don't get along with.
Right.
You got to figure out how to,
No, I love
get along with anybody, but I think it's cool, right?
I mean, I love the series. I actually think it's a great idea to go from 2 to 3 to have 3-man teams. I think it's going to be $1,000 to the winning team
Yeah.
for the season. So, I mean, that's awesome. I think it's going to be some really good racing. It's got a good roster. I'm actually more so looking forward to Friday night and doing the draw. I'm excited to
Yeah,
see
right.
who my teammates are. Those are always fun to, see who you end up with. And yeah, it definitely brings more people together that don't necessarily work together all the time, which should, if you think about it, help, our money racing, where, you're able to learn more of what other guys do and how they go about things. So hopefully when we're on the track with those guys in other races, we have a better understanding how they race so that, the racing becomes cleaner. It's always something we're looking to get to, but easier said than done. But hopefully, that could end up helping us down the road here, with some of the money races. So.
Right. Yep. Cool.
But yeah, I know Ron wanted to talk a lot about tonight. We want to dive into some of the SS stuff as far as the different cars that we run, the different weather settings that we can put on, the temperature of the track, the humidity, cloud cover, all the stuff that kind of plays factors into the shows that you see on all these broadcasts. Fast repair versus no fast repair, and the size of the fields. I know we talked a little bit already about all the cars that we run between the truck, Xfinity, Next Gen, got the Gen 6. Now we started with the Gen 4 Cup car. I know, Dawson, if I'm going to guess, your favorite cars are the Xfinity and the Next Gen. Is that right? Can you allude more on the, types of cars that you enjoy racing?
Yeah, so I kind of have two ways to look at this because I have two sides of this thing that I do. So I have the racing side of me and I have the broadcasting side of me. When it comes to, me behind the wheel, yeah, absolutely, Xfinity and Next Gen. It's because they take the most thought, they take the most, processing to have to race, in my opinion. I've already talked about the Xfinity car, how you just have to saw on it because that thing is so hard to drive. It's so heavy. Does not like to stop, does not like to move quickly, which compared to what we normally run in the truck, I mean, you can move that thing basically anywhere you want to. The Xfinity car, you can't get away with that. So it's a lot more thinking that you have to do than the Next Gen. I think of the Next Gen as a hybrid of the truck and the Xfinity car. I think that's fair to say because you have that slam drafting aspect where you can push, 3-4 guys in line like we like to do, but then also you have to finesse it. You can't just hit a guy as hard as you want to. You still have to line it up. And you still have to think about side drafting and think about, lining up right on the top line up against the wall and not get too far offset one way or the other. And so there's still, a lot of thinking to it and trying to get a run going. But then again, it's got that little bit of added give like the truck has. Broadcasting wise, recently, it's been the Xfinity car. I mean, Tuesday nights have been the best racing, in my opinion. No offense, Mike, but the best racing of the week.
I agree.
Just because
1,000%.
because of the car mostly. I mean, the car brings that out of these guys. These guys seem to elevate themselves when they're running the Xfinity Series car. And for the talent we have in there, it's an incredible field. I heard somebody call it the All-Star Race of the Week a few days ago. So I kind of like that. 25 of the best out there just sawing on these cars, and it's been incredible. But the Gen 4, I'll tell you what, on and off Super Speedway, I love broadcasting that car. I wish we had the 2004 to 2007 Super Speedway package. That's my only complaint. But other than that, those cars are, again, kind of like Xfinity. You saw on them, and they got a ton of horsepower. And it's so much fun, but it's so much finesse and so much work to be able to drive those cars. So racing, yeah, Xfinity and Next Gen are my favorites, but broadcasting, it's Xfinity and Gen 4.
Yeah, I think
Ron,
we're hitting like 211 Thursday night, I think. 210, 211.
Yeah, you can wind those things up if you set them up the right way. Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Ron, we look at the truck, and it's something that obviously, RMRs ran in the past, not as much anymore. You see the truck a lot in PGR in Q1 of this year, and in McCall Motorsports, it's a car you practically see all the time, or the truck you see all the time. But it's definitely evolved a little bit. It's not as much a tank as it was before. It does go through some updates, and we got to kind of navigate those. In my opinion, I just feel like the other cars are just a better package right now. It's still a fun it's still fun to race. It just, provides a little different type of racing. I think, in my opinion, for the trucks, it's just kind of takes the driver, wheeling that vehicle, out of the hands a little bit compared to some of the other cars. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the trucks are easier to drive. The Xfinity cars, you get a little bit of tire wear, they get loose. I mean, I really think the trucks you can run, 300-400 miles and not even change the tires
Right.
and still handle great. They're easier to stop. They're easier to get in your pits. They're easier to get out the pits. They, you can push somebody offset a little bit and it doesn't really. So, I think as you step up to the Xfinity cars, you just add another level of skill in there. And I know that scares some guys off, but um, you know, um, if it makes for better racing, I'm okay with that.
For sure.
Like these 25 car fields like Dawson said, with these all-star guys, and that's what we have. These are the best guys, and yeah, it just makes for some great racing. And then that paired with taking away a faster pair, so you got to think about making these, erratic moves too. So I think it's just paired up between the car, the field that we have, and having no fast repair. I just think that's what's kind of been the recipe for this awesome racing we've been having on Tuesday nights.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody though. We need
Right.
something for everybody. It's not for everybody.
Yeah, I
Um,
know Dawson said, something about an all-star race, and what's crazy is if you even look at last season of RMR, you can make a case that that field, even though the field we have now is very strong, that field was even stronger. I know we, lost a couple guys,
mhm.
from last season. I don't for what reason I don't know. I know Andrew came back, actually got back in and everything, but it is an all-star race every Tuesday night. I mean, you're on that wheel. I know I made a couple mistakes myself last night that I haven't made in a while, kind of set myself back in the race, and I was pretty dejected. But I mean, I knew when I made that mistake that my race was over because
Yep.
we're not wrecking, cautions aren't flying, and you can't make mistakes. So you're up on that wheel practically from the start, the green flag all the way to the checkered flag. You got to be on point with your pit stops. You got that pit stop coming right before the stage, which
Mhm.
is critical to winning the stage or taking top 5 in the stage. You got a couple guys trying to pit right before the stage happens to try to cycle up to the front, to get some strategy there, and then you got about a couple green flag stops, on that long run. So it's a great race. It's a great package. Great car. Always a great series there. But as we look at these cars, a big factor in all this that is the weather. You take the weather settings and you can play with the temperature outside. You can make it hot. You can make it cool. You could make it clear. You can make it mostly cloudy. You can raise the humidity, lower the humidity. As a promoter, Ron, what are when you go into each week? What's your thought process on setting the weather? Um, you know, in direct, relation to how you want to see the race unfold as a promoter and race controller.
Yeah, you got to think about it. You can't make it the same every time because you want people to have to feel it out and see what they're getting. I remember back when you did like let the teams pick the weather every week. That was pretty
Yeah,
cool. That was
yeah,
pretty cool. But sometimes I like to do like last night I did a cool track with overcast skies, but then I did high humidity. So the engines got hot quick. It kind of slows you down a little bit on the runs. I think if you run the lower humidity, you can cool your engine a little quicker. You can get better runs. I mean, you can make it cool outside with clear skies, and the track's still gonna get 120 degrees. But I think it changes the racing so much. And I love that because I'm sitting there watching it. I want to see a little bit of drama. I want to see strategy. Sometimes I want it to be hard to drive. I want it to be hot and slick. Um, so, but a lot of people don't realize how much that little bit of weather change affects everything. Yeah, I hated it for JR last night. He blew his engine on lap 5.
right,
He's pushing like hell, which is great. And with the high humidity, I mean, it popped the engine. I'm surprised he's the only one that did. I
right,
think after he blew, everybody else started paying attention to that. But all that affects. I mean, you got hot temperatures and you can't push as hard, you're probably going to have less wrecks from people pushing through people in the turns. So it all affects it. But you don't want to do the same thing every week either. You want to make it a little bit of a challenge. You want to make it a little bit harder for these drivers, at times. So, um, that's a big thing. So, but yeah, like I said, it was kind of cool when you were letting different teams pick the weather. Maybe something look for in the future. But yep, that's one really cool aspect that makes iRacing so realistic and
Right.
authentic. And I think I mentioned to everybody last night. I was like, yeah, high humidity and everything, but everybody's racing on the same racetrack.
You got to
Everybody's
manage
got
it.
the same playing field, right?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, you can't have the same thing every week, and I know you do a good job of that. We try to do a great job of it too at PGR, is giving something for everybody. There's some nights where the third lane won't work, and there's some nights that it will, and you just gotta deal with the circumstances you're dealt with, and try to find a way to the front. But the biggest thing I see, especially with your series, and what we've kind of gone to here in PGR in the Q2 is, the no fast repair. I mean, you got drivers out there I know make an argument that we need to have one, and I get it. I see both sides of this all the time. Um, I always say that I wish iRacing can allow us to give a fast repair, but then know if the drivers use it or not during the race. Because if we had that ability, we could essentially, provide a fast repair to drivers that are completely unlucky due to technology. Something that, I think it was Danny Eichelman brought up, and which I wholeheartedly agree with. There's a lot of stuff that can happen that is very unfortunate in a money race, that can end your race over technology. But unfortunately, we don't have a way of knowing if a driver uses it or not. So unfortunately, for us right now at PGR, taking it away was, at least in my opinion, the best thing to do. Um, it's, I think you brought up the word authentic, and that's kind of what I like too. Is it's more of an authentic race. I know when I have a fast repair, it doesn't make me really more aggressive, but it definitely is in my mind when I have one, knowing that I have a second
Free
chance.
pass.
And
You got a free pass.
yeah, so it definitely, no matter what I can say, it definitely affects probably a little bit how you do go about your race and your strategy, knowing that you can get back in it. So I personally like the no fast repair. I know it's here to stay right now in PGR. I'd like to see maybe some of these other promoters go to that route. But we'll see kind of what happens. Dawson, I know you might have an opinion on that, and you know mine's no fast repair. So kind of give us some insight on what you think about that.
So I mean, I feel like we have a pretty unique position as broadcasters because I mean, look, we can see that the racing is different between no fast repair and one fast repair. You're still going to have your guys that are just as aggressive either way. I mean, the guys that are going to run up front, the Garrett Mains of the world, the Malik Rays of the world, they're not exactly going to change their entire mindset, their entire game plan based on whether or not there's a fast repair. But it's not that it changes your racecraft more than it changes your mindset, I think. Like for me,
Mhm.
when I jump in, like so for example, if I jump in a race with a fast repair, if I'm in a league race, so the league that I run, they give us a fast repair. I'm gonna immediately, go up front and be like, you know what, I have a fast repair. Until I lose that fast repair, I'm gonna race with a little bit less abandon because
Right.
I have a fast repair.
Mhm.
Um,
Exactly.
I'm still going to run up front even if I don't have one, but I'm not going to make some of the moves that I do maybe with one. I'm not going to jump out there 3 wide. I'm not going to push as hard. You can still race hard without racing over the top. Um, and so from a broadcasting perspective, you want authenticity. I mean, no fast repair is authenticity. I mean,
Right.
because like last night, for example, Garrett Mains. I hate to use Garrett as an example again, but Garrett runs up front all night. He gets split 3 wide with about 5 laps to go, and then gets involved in a wreck that for all intents and purposes, totals his race car. Now he comes back out and finishes the race, but no longer in contention for the win. That's what
Right.
happens in real life. I mean, if you're getting wrecked in
Exactly.
real life, like on Saturday this week, for instance, if if Jesse Love's leading the race, the Xfinity Series race, he's going to get wrecked. He's out of the race. There's no, I'm going to come in and get a fresh new car. I think for what we do and for wanting it to be as realistic as possible, no fast repair is the right call because it makes you, number one, it makes you think, it changes your mindset, and number two, it gives us a chance to be more authentic and say, you know what, if you wreck, your race is over and you have to choose. Do I want to run up front? Do I want to be aggressive, or do I want to hang out and save my car? And what are the benefits either way? I'm all for no fast repair in most cases. Obviously, in the bigger fields and the bigger races, maybe for that guy, for that lack of luck, perhaps, or those wrecks that are going to happen with 50 car fields, I can see it. But like Tuesdays and even Fridays, I don't think we need them because I think it makes it more authentic.
Yeah, I for sure agree with that sentiment. I'm hoping, we have some clean race tomorrow. Tomorrow night in the next gen should be definitely interesting, being that it's at Talladega too. So it's we haven't really had a lot of practice with that. I know Podium and the ERA were all at Daytona, so a little bit more experience for a lot of our drivers on Daytona with the next gen. So should be interesting tomorrow night. PGR eSports from Talladega in the next gen. Should be a great race. But while we have a second, we are going to show everybody the highlight video from the Little Guys series, where PGR eSports driver Mike Davenport was your Season 4 Dega Pros Little Guys Series champion.
Somebody else take it from him. Green flag is back in the air. Green-white checkered attempt number 1, and the bottom gets rolling. PGR, an incredible race start on the bottom for Brambilla and Davenport.
Oh, Davenport's going to try and clear up. Not going to get it, though. If I'm Nash, I'm going at the opportunity that I see the run coming back, but stay stuck to the bottom unless your teammate can get clear. He won't. 3 on the bottom, 2 on the top. Nash with a big move. There they go. 3 wide. You knew that was coming. Zach Grange, huge move with Logan York. Hangs out Nash Brambilla, but Nash is going to get the help of his teammate, possibly with KSR coming in. Oh, Nash Brambilla almost turns Heat Job.
Watch Brock Westerlin. Look at Westerlin through the middle. The 4 car. Where did he come from? Shot out of the cannon. Into the middle, he's 3rd. Now the KSR trucks there lined up against the safer barrier. They've timed this out. KSR has waited until the last moment, and now all of a sudden, they have a look at it. The 89, the 73, and the 2. They've got help coming behind them as well. The scramble begins. White flag, 1 lap to go.
1 lap to go. A little bit of offset, 3 wide behind. But Logan York doing a great job pushing Zach Range. One of the best pushers. He's going to have the temps for it. But is Heath Job going to push Mike Davenport clear? He almost does. I mean, he is right there. Isn't going to get it, though. But here comes KSR on the outside. 3 wide going into turn 3 on the final lap. KSR leads into turn 3. Who's going to get to the checker flag first?
Has KSR picked the right moment? They've got to push. They've got the help, but they get a little bit offset. Osmonaut's going to have to go somewhere here. He's going to have to pick the place to go. Now Davenport leads again. He's going to have to block all 3 lanes. Job goes up. Job gets blocked. Now Davenport going to have to come back down. He's going to have to block the rest of the lanes. They wreck out back. Never mind. Can Davenport block his way to a championship through the tri-oval? Drag race to the finish. Mike Davenport wins it for Team PGR.
Well, what a call by Dawson and Baker. That was one of the best finishes we have probably ever seen. I know we talked a lot about it after the race on how Davenport was able to block. I mean, he blocked high, he blocked middle, he blocked low. Probably one of the best, finishes we've seen, where for somehow, some way, he was able to block all those lanes and not get turned. And I know I said it the other night, but an excellent job by Hyper Motorsports driver Heath Job to not turn Mike. I know Mike probably thanked him for that. And what a finish. Very deserving Mike Davenport, your Little Guys Series champion, Dawson. And, you being able to call those races, great series. Can you talk about Mike and just what he was able to do there on the last lap?
Oh, I could spend a whole episode talking about this series. It's some of the most fun I have all week because it's guys that we don't get to see, we don't get to spotlight, and they look. I mean, for the whole time this series has been going, but really for the past couple seasons now, I've been just putting on barn burners. I mean, every week it's great racing because I mean, the caliber of talent in those races, yeah, it's called the little guys series in quotes, but I mean, the caliber of the talent in those races. I mean, you have the KSR group. I mean, they're running races 7 days a week for hours at a time. I mean, those guys work harder than almost anybody. You've got, the team PGR guys, your guys, Mike, that have put so much work into this. JR and Nash and Brock and all that team, and obviously Mike Davenport. I mean, heck, he wins the title. You've got McCullough Motorsports. What a juggernaut they've become over the past 6-8 months that we've been doing this series. So you have all these teams, and yeah, it's the little guys series, but this group puts on barn burners. This championship race was awesome. I encourage anybody who did not see it, go back and watch the whole 100 laps, because it really was a very fun race to watch, a very fun race to call. So much strategy and stuff that happened late in that race, and the last 20 laps, I mean, some of the best racing I've ever seen to end a championship race. And I call Davenport's move a clinic in last lap defense, because that move doesn't work. I mean, how many races have you guys been in? Have I called? Have we seen that move? Those blocks on the last lap, they don't work. You maybe get away with one. You maybe get away with two. I know we've seen Garrett, Malik, and several others, and Cody get away with two, but you don't ever get away with 3 or 4. And Davenport got away with 3 or 4. Kept the truck straight. One of the hardest workers in the field, Mike Davenport. One of the hardest working teams in the field, if not the hardest working team in the field with Team PGR. I mean, those guys are, seriously, they put in so much effort every week to just get a little bit better, chip away. And Mike, I mean, quietly has had a really good season, actually. So he deserves it. And certainly, I mean, after that last lap performance, I would say anybody deserves it. They can go and do that on the last lap. So big congrats to him. I like that I got to call it, and it was good to see him find that success after a good year for that whole team.
Yeah, for sure. And unfortunately for you, Ron, I know you weren't able to race with those guys up in the front with some bad luck. But I'll tell you what, bud, you had some good luck, because you hit a big one on Sunday. And we were going to have the Baker's Best Bets here tonight, Talladega edition. And, he was going to give us some betting preview for this weekend's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race from Talladega that Dawson will be at. But Ron, I think it was 100 to win 2,100. Chase Elliott got the job done. Broke like a 42 race winless streak. What made you bet him? Did you just have an itch or a feeling?
I'm a Chase fan, so
okay.
When I was there, it's like I'm gonna lay a couple bets down. I bet Jimmy to get a top 5. It was like, you never know, man. He's
right.
7-time. That's one of his best tracks ever. So I laid that one down. But I start looking at the odds, and I'm a Chase fan, and I got hope, right? I mean, like, man, he can do it. So, $100, plus 2,100 odds. I'm like, yeah, got to do it, man. I mean, I already made some money. I don't know if y'all saw, we went live Saturday night at midnight. I had some guys send me $50 on a Venmo, and we went and put one bet on blackjack, and we won that. And I had the side bet on Match the Dealer, and I hit the side bet on Match the Dealer, so I was up a little bit. I'm like, hey, what the heck, man? But I flew back Sunday, and I landed in Charlotte like exactly at the checker flag, and I'm on that airplane going, whoa, yes! So man, it was cool. It was cool. It was a fun trip and profitable there. So yeah.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, I saw your message in the morning in our group here, and saw that you were gonna do it. I'm like, watch this guy win it, man. Should I do it too? I'm glad I didn't, because I bring some bad juju. You probably would have got that right. Anyone won, but I watched the end of that race, man, and I was just like holding my breath, because we just kept having caution after caution. I'm like, he's got to restart again and again and again. But kudos to Chase. He, monkey off his back. It's been a little while. I know the snowboarding accident kind of held him back a little bit. And, just getting used to the next gen car. He was very good at the previous generation car. And I think once they switched over here to the next gen, he's just been a tick off. And, it's crazy. I actually heard I think it was Denny Hamlin talking a little bit about this on Actions Detrimental, where, he was talking about the car and, that a lot of these, like, forget exactly what he was trying to allude to, but more so where, he's talking about Jimmy Johnson, actually. I think that's who you just brought up, where a guy like Jimmy would struggle in this car because Jimmy likes to be loose. That's where he found all his speed. He found his speed all over at almost every track. We all know that. He won everywhere and won 7 championships. So this car actually just drives straight, and it's a different type of car, and
You
lot of
can't
the
set
young
it up
guys.
loose 'cause you don't have no side bite with that car. You don't have
Right.
the side of the car is just shorter.
Yeah.
The tires are lower profile, so you don't have side bite on the tires, so you can't set them up loose. I mean,
Yeah. Actually,
same with Kyle Busch,
Yeah, it was actually Kyle Larson. That's who I actually saw the interview with. He was actually comparing the Indy car to the next gen car, and actually saying that his feel and his hands and his butt and his everything was very similar. So that was actually pretty interesting to hear Kyle Larson say that. And it just goes to show that, NASCAR kind of missed it a little bit with this next gen car, and I know there's a lot going around in the NASCAR world about how to fix it. Obviously, it's pretty good in the mile and a half. It's definitely improved those, but I think most fans would attest that short track racing is what we all crave to see. We love Bristol, we love Martinsville, Richmond, and the racing has not been what it used to be there. So hopefully, they're able to work with the drivers and try to figure out exactly how to improve those cars, put on a better show. I know Dawson. I think you were at Bristol this year?
Yeah, the infamous Goodyear can't bring a hard enough tire race. Yeah,
Well, you know
wow.
what? It actually worked out that day.
Great. That was the best race.
Oh,
Right.
Hopefully,
incredible to watch. Chaotic, the most chaotic thing
Yeah.
I've ever seen watching NASCAR. But I mean, it ended up working out because again, you couldn't run full out on your tires. You had to manage it, and it made it a lot better.
I heard Chocolate, you say it last year. He's like, these cars just have too much tire on them.
Yeah.
There's 2 solutions to that. You give more horsepower, or you make the tire have less bite. You make the tire harder.
Yeah.
I did hear this week, Elton Sawyer said they're not going to do anything else with aero. Nothing else with spoiler, nothing else with diffuser plate.
Yeah.
They're going to just play with tires now. I think they're going to do something. They're going to make it better, But that's the best Texas race in years. I mean, that was a great. I paid for the Wi-Fi on the airplane just because I wanted to watch the race on.
Challenging Texas race. Those guys were fighting hard. Yeah.
Right, and don't pave it. Don't take the bump out. Leave the bump in there.
Right.
That's another challenge. It's just like a hot slick track, right? Don't put the PJ1 back in the track. They didn't put the PJ1 down. Leave it like it is, man, for a while longer. Don't
I mean, I was at North Wilkesboro last year for the All-Star race, and a place I always wanted to go to. So no matter, the racing wasn't the best, but it was more of a spectacle. But going into this year, they're going back there. I mean, it's a no-brainer for NASCAR to roll something out there for an all-star race that's different because it's not a points-paying race. So, why not put 900 horsepower in these cars? Why not give them a tire that's going to wear and see if that's it? And I don't think you could just put all the horsepower in and just think it's going to change. I think it's got to be a couple things. They got to have tires that wear. Goodyear's got to do a better job working with NASCAR on that. And I think you definitely got to have the horsepower so that, the drivers are lifting more. They're shifting so much, man.
Right.
Well,
I mean, it's crazy.
You're really going to have to soften up the tire because remember, North Wilkesboro got a repave this past offseason. So
that's true.
You're really going to have to, if you want it to wear, because North Wilkesboro last year and the year before that when they brought the modifieds there, because I got to see the modifieds there a couple of years ago, it's a tire eater. I mean, that pavement's so old, and the way they used to pave those tracks, it eats tires, it grates them. It's not going to do that anymore. It's a fresh surface. If you're going to do that again, you got to bring a soft tire that's going to wear more than the one you brought last year, because I mean, with a repave again. They're running 2 seconds faster lap times, by the way, in the tests that they did a few weeks ago. So you got to bring a softer tire if you want to wear that thing out.
Yep. Right.
Well, we got a little off track there with the best bets for Talladega, guys. But I am looking at the odds this week. It's William Byron, Ryan Blaney, Brad Keselowski. Those are your 3 favorites, followed by Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott. But I'll tell you what, I'm looking at Michael.
50-1.
Yeah, I'm seeing plus 4,000 right now.
That's a great pick.
I mean, how can you not take that guy? I mean, he's got it done on the biggest stage, Daytona 500. You know, I might have to throw some money on that one.
I'll tell you a few others I would look at too. McDowell's a great pick. Busher would be a good pick for
Yeah,
RFK
Busher.
17. And Ross Chastain. Ross Chastain, a former spring winner at Talladega a couple years back. So I would throw some money on him as well.
Eric Jones has pretty high odds too, doesn't he?
Yeah,
so we
I
got.
don't know what the Toyotas are going to bring to the super speedways though. They were not good at Daytona, so.
Right.
Yeah, I mean Eric Jones, you're getting 100 to win 3,000. Ross Chastain, you brought up, it's $100 to win 1,600. I mean, there's definitely some really good bets. Chris Buescher's 100 to win 1,900. So definitely is the week to hop in, place some bets, whether you're on DraftKings, whatever it is, and even $50. I mean, you could bet Austin Cindric, who is a Daytona 500 winner. $50 is going to net you 1,500. So definitely some good bets out there. Talladega is always a fun race to watch. I'm looking forward to it. Dawson, hopefully you can bring us some awesome videos to the next podcast, and we could hear your story from what should be another memorable weekend for you there.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I mean, you could separate it into the fan experience and then the racing part. It just, the fan experience is what it is. I mean, you hear it's the best party in NASCAR.
Yep.
Obviously, you want to go experience that. Great atmosphere down there for racing all week. I mean, there's been people down there since Monday, so I'm a little bit late to the party. I mean, a lot of people are already there. I mean, that should say a lot, but no, they do a great job for their fan experience. And man, for the racing, I mean, you always get something. You always get something good there. I mean, last year's finish was chaotic in the spring, and the fall race had a photo finish in it for the Cup Series and the Xfinity Series. They always put on a heck of a show there. So I'm looking forward to it. It's always a great weekend. Hopefully the weather holds out. The weather's going to be the storyline this year, I'm afraid.
You actually you get ARCA race too, I think, right?
Yeah, ARCA is going to be Saturday. As of now, going to be Saturday before Xfinity. Obviously, schedule is going to probably undergo some changes here in the next couple of days because the weather is not looking great. The weather is going to be the storyline to watch this weekend. Sunday more than Saturday.
Yeah, Sunday is supposed to get down to 50s here.
Yeah, it's I think a high of 63 in Talladega on Sunday afternoon for the Cup race. So the lowest it will ever be for any of the spring races I've ever gone to there.
Yeah. Wow.
Hopefully the weather holds out. Yeah, hopefully the weather holds out and you have a good time. It's always a good time, probably Talladega. Those guys and girls are going to find a way to party no matter what, whether it's raining or not. So should be good scene there. Talladega, Dawson Wise going to have a good time there. Well, this is about wrap it up for us here tonight on the Money Stop. Ron Morris, any more thoughts going into the rest of the week of money racing, next couple weeks NASCAR, and anything from you here tonight?
I'm just looking forward to PGR getting started up on Fridays, and then Little Dog Big Dog on Saturdays, and keep moving through TNT. We're going to week 6, so we got I think 6 weeks left before playoffs start. So some good racing. So look forward to it.
So do I, Ron. I can't wait to get to tomorrow night and then also see the racing here on Friday. And then I'll be back in the car on Friday, or not Friday, but Saturday night from McCullough Motorsports. It should be an awesome event. Hopefully we can give our viewers some more insight onto that once we do have all the teams, and definitely a series to watch out for. So for myself, Michael Triscaro, PGR eSports, Ron Morris, RMR TNT on Tuesdays, and Dawson Wise, this is PGR eSports, and we will see you next time.